Thank you, Mohammed, for speaking to Printpack. So, just to give you a brief introduction about Mohammed, he is the CEO of Tradeling. Tradeling is a business to business e marketplace in the MENA region, and it has a strong financial backing through the Dubai Airport Free Zone, DAFZA. So, thank you, Mohammed, again for joining us today.
With pleasure.
So, we'll start with a brief about the launch of Tradeling because you started your operations exactly a year ago, and that was in the middle of a pandemic. So, how was the experience of starting a business during a pandemic, and what are the challenges you faced?
So first of all, we didn't expect these challenges, right? We expected a different sort of challenges. We launched the business, as you said, literally 1 year ago during Gulf Food, and we had a stand at Gulf Food. And when you at this trade show, you roam around, and the first thing that popped my mind, and obviously you read newspapers and watch news shows, we're like, wow, where are the Chinese? That was the first indicator, which made us a little bit nervous because launching a business requires so much on the ground work and so much interaction with people, and all of a sudden there were no people, right? We launched the platform, we went live for 2-3 weeks. Things were moving into the wrong direction, and we noticed that. And our initial focus was food and beverage, specifically focusing on hotels and restaurants and any other food service businesses. And by March, I think 2 weeks after the trade show, 2-3 weeks after the trade show, the market died, literally died, went into complete breakdown. And then we did what a startup has to do, right? What we did is we sat down, we got the brightest minds in the office into one room and said, okay, what do we do now? Right? And then we refocused the business we realigned from food and beverage and office supplies, which was the second vertical that we had, to health and wellness, saying, look, people need masks and we don't get masks here, and the prices have been 1,000% up. People need gloves, people need sanitizers. And then we started working on supply chains for this. We uploaded, I think, a couple of thousand products on the platform in this sector within 2 weeks, and went live with this and started a campaign, a social campaign, actually. Because, when you launch, you're not known, right? So the whole launch went about using the trade show effectively, using the PR post the trade show, the marketing channels, all of this vanished. So how do you get marketing attention? How do you get attention in PR? We started a social campaign, the Care Basket campaign, in which we basically said, look, because everyone was sent home from the offices. So we started designing a campaign where you can buy health or nice packaged baskets, care baskets, from tradeling.com and dispatch it to your own people or dispatch it to your business partners. So it was a combination of obviously the essential health materials like the sanitizers and the gloves, but also like some nice token of appreciation like a bar of chocolate. And this became pretty viral. And all of a sudden, I think by the end of March, everyone in the market, or by end of April, everyone in the market knew about us, that we're here and that we're here to stay. So in essence, we pivoted a little bit from our original plans. We started something else from scratch in no time. And we started changing our marketing and PR plans fundamentally and executed on them. All of this within 4 to 5 weeks.
Okay, so it's been almost a year since you started. So how has the company evolved? Has the original mission been in place, and have there been any changes to your strategies?
Look, overall, we came out with the mission to connect suppliers to buyers, right? And we want to have the largest selection of products available to Middle Eastern buyers, and all focus on business buyers, right? From that angle, nothing has changed, right? Nothing has changed. What we had thought of initially is, that we start with 2 or 3 categories and we work on them. And then slowly we add one category after the other. So one shift of strategy, and that's due to the pandemic as well. We said, look, let's just go wide, and let's say we add anything that can be sold in the Middle East and anything where there is demand by our customers, we will add as a category on the platform. So we increased from 3 categories to 13 categories and are adding more as we speak, and are expanding basically our reach from regional supply to global supply immediately. So from that perspective, we're still on the same mission, which is the largest selection for Middle Eastern buyers, and facilitating the entry into the market for people who don't need a local partner. I think it's one of the biggest value adds that we propagate when we talk to suppliers outside is you can be here without being here because we're here for you. You don't need a license, you don't need a warehouse, you don't need to care about customs, you don't need to care about anything because we do that for you. And I think that's working out very well. Suppliers are really loving basically this idea of adding a 40-50 billion dollar market to their portfolio without having to do anything.
So, in terms of onboarding the suppliers onto your platform, are there any criteria? Is there any process that they need to go through? How do you scout for new suppliers, and which markets do you primarily see a lot of suppliers coming in from?
Yeah. First of all, we want to make sure that there is high quality supply on the platform, right? So the first, what we do is a combination of things. The number one thing is there's a KYC process, as in any financing organization, to understand that the entity registering online really exists, right? And it really exists with the right name, with the right authorized signatories, etc. PP. You need to just make sure that the people you interact with are the right people. That's the number one thing. The number two thing is we obviously we partnered with an organization that can check suppliers on the ground no matter where they are. It's a worldwide organization that helps us actually check the quality of the products, the warehousing, the processes, as well as the suppliers. The third thing that we're putting in place here is mechanisms, social mechanisms on the platform that allow buyers to evaluate actually the goods they purchased, the logistics process, the timings, the responsiveness, and the overall rating of suppliers. And we do that vice versa as well with the buyers, right? So that's something that we haven't rolled out fully yet because it needs some time to evolve to be meaningful. But that will be the long-term actually approach to the quality assurance of the platform, right? Now, in terms of the sourcing and the main markets that we target and where suppliers come from, obviously we have a strong local footprint. A lot of people here, local traders, local suppliers, even local manufacturers, have onboarded on the platform in the first year, I would say. Now, in this year, we have shifted our focus much more on international seller acquisition. And what we look for is, and this is probably the order roughly that we look for China, we look for India, we look for Turkey, we look for Europe as well. These are like the main markets that we and obviously the MENA market is always a source of supply. You have amazing sources or suppliers coming out of Turkey, for example, out of Egypt is a key supply market. The African countries below Egypt are key supply markets. We're looking at Kenya, for example, fruits and vegetables. There's a lot of sources worldwide, but the main areas are China, obviously, India, obviously, and then the markets that I mentioned.
So in terms of the marketplace, what if you were to talk about the USPs of the market place compared to possibly similar, platforms in the region? What would that be? Maybe the top three that comes to your mind.
Look, I think the ultimate thing that we really benefit from is that we are a full service provider, right? We enable you to do everything that you need in order to conduct trade, right? What does it mean? It means that as a supplier, you can list your product easily on the platform. As a buyer, you can search, find products from any categories on the platform as easy as possible. And as I said, we're working on having the largest selection for the Middle East. No matter what you look for, you will find it on tradeling.com. So that by itself is a USP. Now, it doesn't stop there. What is super important for us is there is processes, business process. It's not a commerce business for consumers, right? It's a commerce business for businesses. So you need to be very careful with the processes, right? Businesses need to have really reliable and stable and solid processes. So the processes are around payments, they're around financing, they're around logistics, and they're around everything actually related to supply chain, right? And we offer services in all these areas, right? I'll give you a simple example. When you are a hotel with a restaurant outlet and you have your annual basically contract for meat coming up, for steaks, right? And you have suppliers from Brazil that you've been working with for years, and now you want an alternative just to push pricing, for example, to test alternative products. We can organize the samples coming, for example, from Australia. We can organize samples coming from Colombia, organize it for you so that your chefs can test it. Once it's approved, we can organize the entire supply chain. We can get basically the suppliers to send the goods to our warehouse that we have here, and we distribute from here locally to your different outlets. So that's something that is really at the press of a button. At pressing a button, you can get these services from us. At the same time, what we have is we partner with providers of financing services so that we can give you payment terms, which today suppliers are not willing to give. When you deal with international suppliers, they tell you 50% upfront payment and 50% at the bill of lading, right? This doesn't work with your cash flow. It doesn't work with your cash cycle usually. So we are defining solutions and creating solutions for the market where you can have 60, 90 days payment terms based on the partnerships that we have in the fintech sector, right? And the solutions that we build then that are tailored to our platform. So when you have all of this together, you have an ecosystem surrounding the sourcing and the procurement and the trade transaction, which is much bigger than the transaction itself. And I think this is what makes a difference, because mostly what you can do is you can say, look, I'm a supermarket, I want to buy, here's an app, I add to basket, I check out, I pay with my credit card, I get it. That's not what is needed in the market, in the overall market. It's needed on a small niche, maybe from time to time, but overall people need much more than that, much more than that.
Okay, and you recently also announced a partnership with Freightos. So, can you briefly tell us what is that all about, and which services have you partnered with them?
So with our Freightos partnership, we're bringing a smart freight solution to the marketplace. So what does it mean? It means that different origins and destinations will be available for real-time price checks when you want to buy goods and deliver goods. So let's say I have a supplier that sits in Guangzhou in China, and I want to deliver the products to my factory in Abha in Saudi Arabia. Like, while looking at the product on the platform, you can add the product to basket and say, what is the cost of shipping this with air freight? You get a real-time quote. Or sea freight, you get a real-time quote. You can book the quote immediately, and which basically helps us design an experience for our business customers that is similar to a standard e-commerce consumer experience, right? I think it's one of the things also that differentiates us, is we say that, in the past, all these B2B interactions have been too cumbersome, too complicated, not really nice to do. When you sit in the office and you need to log it into your ERP system and the LPO and all this stuff, it's kind of cumbersome. We want it to be as delightful as going onto a standard platform, add to basket, checkout. Logistics is taken care of. You know the price upfront. You pay and you know what you get. You can track your shipments. All of this stuff is available through the partnership that we have. So it's a smart freight platform that over time we're increasing the availability of fares from origins to different destinations, so that anything that you purchase from any place in the world you want to deliver here in any place that we serve in this region, you can calculate in real time, book, and track your shipments, so that, again, it's an overall experience that we deliver on Tradeling.com.
Okay. In terms of your strategies for 2021, what are the key focus areas that you would like to highlight?
I think the number one thing that we're focused on is to increase the selection and really make international supply available in the Middle East and allow suppliers to access Middle Eastern customers without investing here locally in a setup, in a legal setup, in partnerships with sponsors, etc. pp. We can give them our platform to access the market. That's the number one thing. So increase the selection across the different categories. The number two thing that we're focusing on is adding key features into our marketplace that our customers ask us to do, right? So there's a very, very close relationship with customers here when they tell us, for example, we want, when we purchase, to have an automated link to our cost centers, for example. And this is crucial for their business processes. We will implement that to enable that for them, because as long as it serves the purpose of many customers that they need in order to run their processes, I think it makes sense on the marketplace. And the third thing that we focus on is the international expansion. So we have started serving customers, buyers in the UAE, and we're looking at Saudi Arabia very, very soon, and we're looking at the rest of the GCC before end of the year. And that's probably the biggest focus in terms of international expansion this year.
Thank you, Mohammed, for speaking to Printpack. It was nice having you with us, and we look forward to again speaking to you in the future.
Excited about that. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you.